Dude.
What's up?
Please forgive me, man. I'm so sorry that I fucked this up. I apologize.
Hollywood Cregger already kicking in.
Yeah, I big dogged you. I've been big dog.
Right on. Yeah, all good, man.
Cool shirt, man.
Thank you. Go fuck yourself, Doll Liquor. Good to see you.
Go fuck yourself. I like it.
Yeah. So, appreciate you doing this, though, man. So, I'll wait as long as I needed to. Just how's the weekend been?
It's been fine. It's been, God, is it Monday?
Something like that.
Yeah, it was good. I went down to Palm Springs with Trevor's wife and kid and hung out and, threw him around in the pool for a while, and that was good. And now
Trevor or
I'm
Augie?
back into it. Sorry?
Trevor or Augie?
Yeah. Trevor's body. We exhumed it and threw it around the pool. Yeah, it was great. It was good.
Yeah.
What about you?
Good times, yeah. Just staying busy, man. Caught up with the stream, so I didn't see you. Just Timmy and Sam, but all good. And
how was the stream?
I fell asleep on that one, I'll be honest.
Oh, those motherfuckers.
They were trying to do some green screen thing. It wasn't working, Dad's on the internet kind of stuff. So.
Was it like the whole stream is them trying to figure out how to do the stream?
It was at first. Sam was having his issues, and then they started talking about their top 15 I don't think it was favorite horror movies or something, but yeah, they lost me a little bit there.
It gives me so much anxiety when technical shit goes wrong on the streams.
Oh yeah, I believe it.
Yeah,
so.
it really kills me. And it happens, but it just stresses me the fuck out. That's like the story of Whitest Kids. It's like every live show we would ever do. You like get to a new city, you got to run in, and you got to go through like all the cues with the sound guy who's there like. He doesn't give a fuck,
right.
He's like, what? Dude, you're a comedy group? Huh? And it's like, okay, so on this line, you gotta like cut the lights and hit the music. And he's like, and he's like hungover and just like disinterested. And it was like, it matters to us.
Yeah.
Just a fucking panic attack every day. That's why I hated touring, man. It's just like constant stress. So brutal.
Can't even imagine. But hey, it's what you want to do that at least to an extent, right? It's fun in the moment, maybe, and then after. I don't know. I
mean, I think back very fondly, but it was really.
You're glad it's out of the way.
Yes, I'm glad it's done. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, was it fun traveling for promotion of the movie and stuff?
Yeah. I mean, so I didn't travel too much. I went to London. That was super cool. And I did Toronto. That was great. San Diego, which is like I guess traveling. I stayed in a hotel, so sure that'll count. Yeah. It was great. It's really fun because. It's just so special for me to be able to watch the movie with an audience and have people reacting to it. Like feels great. And, in about a week and a half or 2 or 3 weeks, that'll be over. I won't be able to ever do that again. So I do feel like I'm really lucky to be able to experience it. So I go see it, I haven't seen it in a while, but like I saw it a lot that opening month. Yeah.
Is that weird though? Like watching, your own thing so often, like just with my own creative things I've done in my life, it's like I'm my own worst critic, right? So I imagine you're the same. Do you nitpick a lot of the that stuff?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's just like I have a running tally of everything I wish I could go and change. To me it's just like it's an avalanche of mistakes. But I also I'm accepting that like the time to make those changes is over. And there's a lot of things I do still really love in the movie, and I just have to just kind of selectively pay attention to those things.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, we're going to get into spoilers here for sure because, there's been enough time, and if they want to tune in here, then they'll watch it for whatever. But what would you say has been what is the biggest thing that you kind of sticks out to you when you're like, I wish we changed that one?
Great question. Well, I've had like a couple of ideas, so this is total spoiler, but like when the mother like bursts in on the homeless man's hideout, and like rips his arm off and beats. Like I wish that rather than her just like randomly blasting through the wall as he's mid-sentence saying like, I've been living here 15 years and she ain't never come in, this motherfucker, which is great. It's funny, but I think it would have been a better story beat if like AJ and the homeless man were trying to get the bullet out of Tess, and she was screaming, and her screams. Even though like she's a willing participant, but she's like, and that is what made the mother burst through the wall because it would have driven home like she's protective,
Right.
And that would have reinforced when AJ says, come get your baby, that would have been like, of course he knows that that's what she's gonna do, because it's just one more little piece of evidence that that's how she behaves. So that I would have changed that. There's tons of edits where I'm like, oh, I wish I'd cut that shot down. There's what else? The final for the denouement where they go falling off the tower. I think it's the physics obviously is wrong there. Like, that's not how gravity works, right. And I know that. Like, I knew that before we shot it. That, like, I'm stretching credulity here, but I've heard a lot of podcasts of people saying, like, that's where the movie lost them. And I'd always kind of been operating under the assumption that, like, look, at this point, I've either got you or I don't. Like, you either have decided that you like the movie or you don't. We're 7 minutes away from the end here. So, like, I'm not like, I wasn't so concerned, but I think it did take a lot of people out. So I think I would have probably re-choreographed that so that, like, as Tess goes off the edge, the mother was already running after her, and it was like they kind of fell together, and the mother, like, was able to, like, shepherd Tess, as opposed to now where Tess falls, like, halfway down and the mother jumps, and she's like, there's no fucking way she could reach her. But I think that, like, at that point, it's a Sam Raimi movie. It's full silly horror, and that's fine. But I think that a lot of people were, like, so in on the first act that's, like, very grounded and very serious and real. And then for the movie to kind of bend the way it does into, like, a bizarre, silly creature feature, I think people were just like, well, this wasn't what I liked in the beginning. And that's fair. I can't fault anyone for having that right. attitude. But
yeah, and the mother's also very, very strong to be able to, do some of the things.
Yeah, she did pull a man's arm off. I mean, come on. I thought I was, like, incrementally kind of raising the silliness, but I think that at a certain point I lost some people. But also, like, fuck them. Like, all the art and all the music and all the movies that I love the most are things that most people don't like. And so at the end of it all, I have to just sit back and be like, I made a piece of art that I really love, and I think a lot of people are going to really love, and a lot of people are going to be really turned off by. And if that's the case, then it's right in line with everything that I cherish. So, fuck you is kind of also my attitude, I guess. Like, and that's fine. I never expected this movie to get the attention and the nitpicking that it's gotten, which I think is a testament to that it's a good movie, mostly. And so it wasn't supposed to be so scrutinized, because it's supposed to be a little $4 million B horror movie, which is what it is. I didn't plan for it to have this release. And so, we're inviting a lot of people who are not hardcore horror heads like I am in to offer their 2 cents. And I'm really rambling here, aren't I? This is a rant.
It's all good, man.
This is where I'm at. This is where I'm at today. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, no, I think that's very well said. And I mean, I was going to ask you about that too. I know you never had the expectations of it to, do as crazy good as it has. Like, a lot of people I know have already seen it, and I haven't really heard anything. I think we probably just nitpicked more than anything I've ever seen so far. So that's a good thing,
what
right?
It is my narcissism, my own self-absorption has led me to listening to so many online reviews because frankly, most of them are great. So I'm getting enough positive reinforcement that I'm just following the breadcrumbs and just, like, scooping it all up. And then, inevitably I'll get a bad one, and then I'll get really, like, fixated on the bad ones. And, like, okay, so what is it that they don't like about this movie? And so that's kind of what I'm,
well, I remember when you
is my reaction to that shit.
Well, I remember when you and Trevor were reading the Miss March reviews, or you used to do that or whatever.
Well, that was a completely different situation.
Yes, but
that was the inverse, where it's like it was like all bad reviews, and maybe 1 out of 10 would have something mildly nice to say.
Yeah,
I didn't read any of those reviews, so that just tells you what a fragile guy I am. And it's like, shame on me. It's like, you can't take the good reviews seriously and ignore the bad reviews. Like, if you're gonna do it, you got to take them all seriously. So I'm a hypocrite.
Yeah, man. Hey, we all are to an extent, but it was really funny to me, like, fine. After seeing the movie and thinking about my favorite Whitest Kid sketch, Happier with Your Mouth Open, I could not help but hope that that's how you were as a director. Directing people that way.
Sadly no.
The worst part is the man's 2 kids saw the whole thing. They watched as their own father was brutally murdered and sodomized right in front of their very eyes.
It's things like that that just make you want to throw down your badge and find this gutless scum off the books.
Cut.
I felt
Good.
That was really flowing for me. Yeah.
I was feeling it. I thought it was great. Roger, can I give you a note real quick?
Sure.
I thought it was fantastic.
Thanks.
I want to try it again.
Okay.
I want you to think this time, this is not just a job for your character. Being a police officer is an obsession.
Right.
When you were a kid, you watched your own parents brutally murdered, okay? So we're going to bring that fire and that rage up a little bit more in this one, yeah?
Okay.
I want you to do it again. I want you to do it happier and with your mouth open.
What?
Yeah, happier and with your mouth open, okay? I love it. I love it. You're doing great. People, top of page 20 by lunch. That's the goal. Let's roll camera!
I'm trying to think if there was ever any moment where I did ask anyone to be happier or use more of their mouth, but I don't think so. I don't think it happened.
Well, I got to ask you about that, man, since it is my favorite sketch. And I'm very disappointed you guys for never talking about it yet, but did you like that one?
Well, you know what it is? It's like Self-Suck is so devolved into just us talking to each other about bullshit.
Right.
It was supposed to be about us going through the sketches, but what we should have done is start at episode 1 and just moved through the show in order. Like, I don't know what we thought we were doing, just like randomly picking. It's like, of course we're not going to, do it right. So we fucked it up. We kind of blew it. And we never did Happier with Your Mouth Open?
I don't recall. I remember that one. It's my favorite sketch.
That's your favorite sketch, huh?
I think so.
I remember we shot it at this house in upstate New York that's like a suburban house that's just for filming. We shot a ton of sketches there. I can't remember the name of the house. Sam or Timmy would know. I know they shot like the Schlitz gay commercial there for Saturday Night Live, and that was something we were all like, this is the pool where they shot Schlitz gay. That's so great. Yeah, it was a fun one. It was definitely like, there's some sketches that you shoot and during the filming of them, you're like, I don't think this is good. And then there's some that you shoot and you think they're great and then they end up sucking. And then there's some you shoot that you think suck that end up being great, like Slow Jerk. I remember when we were shooting Slow Jerk, nobody cared about that sketch. Everybody was like, move it. We got funny shit to shoot later. And then that ended up being, a classic for us. But Happier with Your Mouth Open was a sketch that like we knew as we were shooting it, like we were all like, everybody was laughing, everybody was having a blast, and I think it turned out really great. And so it was just one of the ones where you're like, yeah, we were right. Like we thought it was going to work and it worked. It's good.
I mean, it's the ultimate hidden gem to me. Like I don't think it was even on the tournament bracket. I don't remember it being even on there.
No, it had to be.
I
it
hope
had
so,
to be, dude.
But like everyone I've shown that to, like crying, laughing. Like
what won the tournament?
Well, Horses Stegosaurus was top 2. I know
That's so stupid.
But I don't remember what actually won.
That's him putting his thumb on the scale. Because, like, that's a great sketch. Don't get me wrong. Hey, listen to me. What an asshole. Hey, don't get me wrong. It's great. It's one of the best. No, but I mean, in terms of Whitest Kids, I mean,
Yes.
like, in the body of our library, whatever. It's a good one, but it doesn't belong top 2. Come on.
Well, it's
Did
like
the Great Biscuit top 2?
No, I think it was top 4 though, for sure. And Grapist was the first one I actually ever saw and heard of. Like that one was going around my school at the time that it came out, and that's how I discovered you guys in the first place. So it was like,
Oh, cool.
I know you feel it. You say that Lincoln's like easily the most popular one though.
I think it probably had the most like views. It would get up to 20 million and then get erased by IFC, and then it would get back up to 20 million. I remember it like got to 20 million twice and then got erased again. And so I mean, it kind of breaks my heart because I wonder what it would be. I mean, it would probably have gotten. I bet it would have gotten at least 90 million by now, maybe more. I mean, it was a very, very viral video.
Yeah.
But we'll never really know how viral because they kept fucking erasing it. Kills me.
Yeah, that's a bummer for sure.
Yeah.
But a lot to choose from, man. So good catalog. And just as for kind of the Barbarian topic, with the Airbnb situation, it's obviously centered around that whole thing. I'm curious, do you have any crazy Airbnb experiences?
I do. Well,
hopefully
so
nothing too similar.
What's that?
Hopefully nothing too
kind
similar.
of. So one time my wife and I were going to a wedding in I can't even remember what city it was in. It was in New York, but it was a train ride from New York City, but it was like one of those little town cities in upstate New York that like I'd heard of but never been to, and I imagined it was just going to be this like really idyllic kind of like rural bucolic kind of a town. And so I when we got to our Airbnb, it was we were like late, so we went to this rehearsal dinner, and then we got really drunk. And the rehearsal dinner like ended at like 1 a.m. So at 1 a.m, we like go to our Airbnb for the first time, and it was in like a fucking gnarly area, like really sketchy, like fucking run down. Not as run down as in my movie, like, but like crackheads all over the place. It was just like sketchy, and we're just like sitting there drunk with all of our luggage, and we get to the Airbnb, and the lockbox won't open. Like the code for the lockbox is not working, and it's 1 a.m, and I'm calling the people, and they're not answering. And we were out there for like 45 minutes, and then a cop drove by, and I ran out and I like flagged him down. I was like, "Hey man, like I'm gonna break into this house. I just wanted to tell you before I do it. Like I'm supposed to be in there, but like the code doesn't work. So just so you know, I'm gonna like smash a window and like I'm going in there." And the cop was like, "Don't do that." He's like, "No, you are not. I'm not giving you permission to break into that house." And so we were like, "Fuck!" So we ended up having to like call some other guest at the wedding and be like, "Can we come sleep on your floor?" That we knew. And so that's what we ended up doing. It was super.
Oh, wow, you didn't even get in at all.
We didn't get in. We couldn't get in. So I don't know. Like I don't think that was like even in my mind when I was writing Barbarian. But I mean, it would make sense if it had. You know, it definitely left a mark on me. So yeah.
A little bit of inspiration there from
But I also used to host. I used to rent this house out on Airbnb, and so I would list it on Airbnb, and I would list it on HomeAway, which was another site. And I was always afraid that I would fuck up and like double book people. And so that's definitely part of it, is like the idea that is very easy to do. Like it's by the grace of God that I never did that. So that had to be part of it too.
I've had a couple interesting ones. The one that stands out to me, I went to Jacksonville last year, and my host didn't like remember that I was coming, so I showed up, and
brutal.
He's like, "Oh," like, well, he was really confused, and he's like, "Just come in, we'll look at it." Kind of similar, how things played out.
Oh, so he had to like pull it up and be like,
"Yeah,
yeah, you did book this place."
Yeah, so he was like,
"Oh no!"
And so then he ended up
terrible.
I know. He ended up giving me his room, and he slept like on the couch. And he's like,
"What the fuck?"
I know. And
Did you get a free stay out of that?
No,
I would be so
I
pissed.
didn't. Yeah, I should have, but
see, I don't know, man. I mean,
and then
Airbnb...
funny thing after was he was an author apparently of some little book, and he's like, "Oh," I told him what I do. He's like, "You should interview me," and I'm like, "If I have time." I'm here trying to work, man. We've we've interacted more than I would have liked to already.
Oh my
but
God.
yeah, that was something. So
nightmare, dude.
Yeah,
nightmare.
Fun, gotta be.
So wait, what's up? So I was looking you up. So you're very involved in MMA. Is that right?
Yeah. So
do you fight?
No, I don't. I just talk to the fighters and stuff.
You just talk to the fighters. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but you're like you travel around and like talk to fighters and stuff.
Go to
like
the
that.
events and everything. Not as much this year, but I did it pretty much all of last year. So that's what keeps me busy, man. I don't like to say journalist, but you could say that. So, you know.
Okay. So you know all those guys now, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing this for 6 years. So, yeah, kind of crazy run. And I'm at my biggest spots now. So,
cool.
It's weird. It's weird, man.
All right. Awesome. Good for you. That's rad.
Yeah, you're not too into that, though, are you? I know Trevor would mention like fights every now and then.
I like it. Like, I think MMA is pretty cool. And, like, I have a couple of friends that are very into it. And so every now and again, when they order a fight, I'll go over to their house and, like, watch with them. And I always enjoy it. But I'm that guy in the room who's like, now who's this guy? And now what's his deal? You know, like, so
Filthy casual.
Yeah. But I was at one that was like, you'll probably remember this. It was probably 4 years ago. It was before the pandemic. And it was the fight where who's that fighter with like the greatest Instagram ever, where he keeps saying like he's okay.
Oh, Derek Lewis.
Okay. Yeah. So it was like he fought that night, and there was a brawl that broke out after the fight, like, and it was spilled into the stands. Do you remember that fight?
Yeah. So that wasn't his fight, but that was the fight right after.
Yes.
It was Habib and McGregor when he jumped over.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a wild one, right?
That's the most viewed MMA fight of all time, like pay-per-view buys.
Really?
Wise. Yeah, that's the big one.
Oh, like in my life, I've probably seen 4, and one of them was that one. You know, so
I would
I
expect
felt
it
very
to be.
spoiled. I was like, "This is amazing," but
And
I was
that's
like, "There's no way they're all this good."
no, that's the only time that's ever happened. So you definitely scored on that one. But yeah,
Yeah, that was crazy.
it's funny. They after the events or like throughout the events, they film and do this thing called the thrill and the agony. So they'll get obviously perspectives of the losers and the winners for every event, kind of put it into like one 10-minute clip that they show like a week or so later. That event's thrill and the agony has never come out because
No shit. Oh, but they should.
I know
Imagine?
we're all dying to see because you know
They're
there's footage.
sitting on gold.
Yeah,
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Amazing.
yeah, it's
How much do these guys work out? Like, what is the general, like, are they doing like every day, 4 hours a day, or is that too much?
No, that's probably about right. Multiple workouts a day through the week, anyways. Take the weekends off generally. Depending, some people are freaks and will do as much as they can. But
And multiple workouts a day.
yeah,
5 days a week. And what about the diet? Like, so I just started with a trainer, right? Today is actually, this is why I'm asking. Today is my first day with my
right.
trainer. And so today, he's like, gave me a workout plan. So like, I had the grossest lunch I've ever had in my life. I had like lentils that I like boiled, mushed up, like a cup of fucking lentils, and then 6 ounces of chicken breast, like shredded and put into the lentils. I didn't realize 6 ounces is so much.
yeah,
It's like, I'm like a third of the way in. I'm like, I hate this. I want to stop. Like, God, I can't imagine like doing this tomorrow, let alone every day
Yeah.
for years. It's terrifying. Like, how do these guys do this?
yeah. I mean,
Obviously, the answer is they just get used to it. But like,
Right.
good Lord.
well, yeah. I mean, the thing is, everybody's obviously different, but when it kind of depends also on like what weight class they're fighting in, and obviously the heavyweights aren't maybe as disciplined as the Habibs like we were mentioning. But once it gets down to, I know a lot of people will not do anything like crazy diets for, I don't know what specifically you're doing the diet for, but until like the fight's really close, when they have to cut weight and make sure that they make weight, so it's like, for example, there's a guy who's really popular right now. His name's Paddy Pimblett, and he fights at 155 pounds. But when he's not preparing for a camp, he gets up to like 210, really fat, just like doesn't give a fuck. And then once he's like, all right, I got to fight, well, then we'll get into shape and start cutting
Then
down.
he cuts.
Yeah, but he's like a pretty extreme exception to that. So,
Wow.
yeah. I mean, all fighters are crazy, obviously, so they have their
Yeah.
own ways too.
You've never fought? You've never been into it?
I mean, I've wanted to get into training and stuff, and I've done, so I've never had like a really serious fight, aside from just doing stuff with my friends. But it's just a matter of finding the timing, and like this, the writing stuff and everything I do is very time consuming, which isn't a good excuse, but it's a juggling act, so I've just never managed to get around to it. But and I'm getting older now, 27 at the end of the month. I know, crazy, but
Oh my God, fuck
Yeah.
you, dude. I'm 42 and I'm starting. Give me a break.
yeah. But I mean, speaking of the writing, man, I wanted to ask you because it's something I've dealt with throughout my career and everything, and I know it's kind of different with the creative process for you, I'm sure, and how you just kind of, I mean, you were just saying you stumbled upon just writing whatever came to mind for the movie a little bit, right? And I'm curious, do you like struggle with self-confidence or believing in yourself as like a good writer at all?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, there's multiple times during Barbarian where I was like, this sucks, and then I just kind of kept going. And then like the first draft, it was really fun because it was just for me. I wasn't ever thinking it was going to be a movie. So it was just kind of trying to just really entertain myself. And then when I kind of got it into a shape that really resembled a movie and I liked it, I got some notes from some producers and stuff that I had to address, and like they were hard, and I definitely had moments where I was like, I don't know if I can address them. Like, I don't know if I can, and I recognized that they were right. Like, I needed to make some changes to bring it to like the next level. And if I didn't bring it to the next level, it wasn't going to work. So it felt very make or break. And I had a ton of self-doubt, I tended to have most of my breakthroughs during meditation. So I would do like TM, and transcendental meditation for those who don't know. And during the meditation, when I was in the depths of it, I would sometimes have breakthroughs. And all of my big breakthroughs, actually, I would say, really came from that. So that is one handy tool that I was able to use. You know, David Lynch was the one who really inspired me to adopt transcendental meditation into my writing habit. He has a book called Catching the Big Fish, which is excellent. And if any aspiring writers are not familiar with it, I would encourage you to get familiar with it, because it's pretty great. So yeah, that was it. But right now I'm writing, and I'm writing 2 scripts right now, and I've been in a total dead zone for a while, for a couple of months, honestly, where I really haven't made any progress. I'm going to go out of town in October and just really kind of go off the grid and spend 3 weeks at a house, like away on an island, like away from everybody. And so I'll have 3 weeks to do nothing but write. So I'm kind of just like stalling until I go there, and then I'll try and get one of them done. But yeah, I have tremendous self-doubt, for sure. I also, though, have confidence, and I recognize that, like, I think Barbarian is a successful script. So it's like, I know I can do it. The script I wrote before that is a script I deeply love. So it's like I've done it twice, so I feel like there's no reason I can't do it again. And during both of those scripts, I had moments where I was like, it's fucked, I'll never figure it out. So that's part of the process. I don't think there's anybody's ever written anything where they didn't feel like hopeless, like, and I think if you don't feel that, you're probably writing something that sucks.
Right.
Like, I think all good stories should be really new and edgy and weird, and like, you should push yourself. And if you never have a moment of like, have I written myself into a corner, have I fallen off the cliff somehow, then like, then you're probably playing it too safe. So it's good to get stranded. It's good to get discouraged and lost. I think that's part of it.
Do you think you could have pulled this off as pre-sober, Zach?
What a great question. The 2 scripts I've written that I love the most, I wrote sober. Pre-sober, Zach, I probably, if I'm totally honest, I would love to say no. I would love to say no, I had to be sober.
Right.
I think I probably could have. But I don't think I would have written under the influence, But maybe if I was stoned, I might have had a couple of breakthroughs here and there. That's very appealing to me even now. The idea of like having writer's block and like getting high and like thinking outside the box and having some flash, like, I would love to be able to try that. I just know myself, and it's like, if I get high, I'll get high again when it's not a writing thing, and then I'm off to the races. So it's like, it's not worth it to me, especially if I can meditate and get myself into that same kind of altered state through meditation. Then I don't need weed. So at least that's how I feel today. I don't know if that'll change ever, but at the moment, I feel like I have a natural way to get into an alternate way of thinking. So I'll do that.
Was it difficult at all in like the obviously early months when you're like, all right, I'm cutting out this stuff?
Oh, to get sober?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, dude. I'm a full-blown alcoholic. I am definitely like, I'm not like a fucking dabbler. I'm a boozer. It was my favorite thing in the whole world. Truly, it was my favorite thing in the whole. Still, even as a sober person, my favorite thing, is a fucking pack of American spirits, some tequila, ice, soda, and lime. Boom. That is all I need for a good time. So yeah, to lose your favorite thing that's been there for you every day for your adult life, and it's like the one thing that will make you feel good, and to take that away is a trauma. I felt like an amputee is the best way I could describe it. I felt like I'd lost a limb. It was really terrible. It was really hard. If I didn't have recovery, like a program of recovery with like other people who have, and by the way, you could probably guess what that program is called. I won't say it, but like it's in the front of the phone book. If I hadn't had that, I don't know if I would have been able to get sober. Yeah, and I don't want to act like some big success story. I might drink again. I have no idea. I really do try and take it one day at a time. So I don't know, but yeah, it was hard.
It's been almost 10 years?
7 years.
Okay,
7
yeah.
years,
I mean,
yeah.
congrats, man. That's a good stretch for sure. So,
Thanks. Yeah. April 1st is my day. So yeah.
Isn't that kind of an interesting choice of day?
I know. April Fool. I know.
Like, nope.
No, psych. No, that's it. That's my day, for better or worse.
Yeah, that's hilarious. But good stretch, man. So hope you can keep it up. But
why do you ask? Usually when people ask, they're thinking about it a lot.
I mean, I've just got down on it a good bit. I mean, I used to be pretty rager party a lot, and I mean, will still do that every now and then, but it's a whole lot less. So I've never felt like I've had any issues, but that usually when people say that, it's like they're the ones who do, right? So
yeah, well,
to an extent,
I feel like
maybe.
when you know. The difference between an alcoholic and a hard partier is suffering. So if you're suffering, then that's something to think about. But if you're not and you're enjoying yourself, then you're fine.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just always find it's fascinating to pick the brain of someone who's made such a kind of drastic switch, kind of like that you have. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, before I got sober, I would always, when I met a sober person, I was always so fascinated with them, and like I would definitely ask 1,000 questions. What was it like? Why did you do it? Or is it better? So yeah, I get it. I because it was like seeing someone who'd like done a magic trick. It was like, how? Yeah,
that's a great comparison.
Yeah,
but yeah, man. Well, I mean, just for going back to the movie talk and kind of, I mean, just dealing with that kind of stuff in general. A lot of stresses that can come in life, and when you look at some movies that you've watched, and this is one where it gets you on the edge of your seat, right? Barbarian definitely is. I'm curious, like for you, man, what movie has stressed you out, I guess, the most while you're watching it?
Oh, great question. Well, man, the first one that just jumps to mind is Climax. Have you seen Climax? Mm-mm. Do you know about it? Gaspar Noé. He's a French.
I know of him.
filmmaker.
Yes, he's
okay. Yeah, so he did. Obviously, for those who don't know, he did Irreversible, and he did Enter the Void, and I think Love. Is that the name of that movie? I think so.
It might have been. He did the Necromaniacs as well, right?
Nymphomaniac 1 and 2. But he made a movie a couple years ago called Climax, which is about a ballet troupe in Paris. And so the beginning of the movie is they do this amazing big dance number, and it's so great. It's just like joyful dancing. And then then the dance number ends, and they're hanging out at the ballet studio, or the dance. It's not ballet, it's just dance. They're just like a modern dance group. They're hanging out in the dance studio, and they're like getting drunk. There's like a big punch bowl. They're all drinking punch, and somebody spikes the punch with acid.
I have heard of this, actually.
You follow this dance troupe in this like big dance school over the course of the next like 5 hours as they all bad trip. And it is like the most intense, stressful. The movie's an hour and a half, maybe it's 2 hours. It feels like 9 hours. And it's 9 hours of pure agony. And this sounds unpleasant, and it is. But if you're a sick fuck like me, it's amazing. I mean, it is so effective. So that movie is stressful as fuck. The first 2 acts of Speak No Evil are like masterful suspense. That's a movie that just came out. It's on Shudder. It's a Danish movie. It's great. So intense. I had a problem with the 3rd act, but that's just me. What else? I mean, the again, another Danish movie from the 80s, The Vanishing. What an amazing movie. Have you seen that? The Danish Vanishing?
No, I think I've heard of that one though too.
Great. Yeah. The American remake is an embarrassment, but the original Danish movie is
so, how it goes, right?
So good. Yeah. I don't know. Those are the ones that jump to mind. I'm sure if you asked me tomorrow, I'd have a bunch of different answers. What about you?
So my answer is going to be pretty embarrassing, probably.
Oh, cool. What?
Because like now once you describe climax, yeah, I do know about that, but I haven't seen it. And there's some of those more hardcore movies, I guess you could call them that. There's a certain genre, right, that you're kind of defining. They're like Requiem for a Dream kind of falls in there a little bit.
Yeah.
I've seen that. I consider that like a straight up horror movie as well, just because of the realities of it and everything. But the most like stressed out I've been, like anxious, like edge of my seat the whole movie. Did you ever see Life with Jake Gyllenhaal?
No.
Okay, well,
No. Tell me about it.
so it's the one where a lot of people compared it as to like an Alien knockoff, which I'm sure Alien's a good one that you could also go with. But it's this movie where they're up in this spaceship, kind of researching, and they find this little tiny life form, and it's kind of like starts out really small, and they're playing around with it, observing it and everything, and it's really nice and playful at first, right? And then just it turns and starts needing sustenance and to live and everything, so it ends up, don't want to fully spoil it, but breaks out and eats one of the people, and then it just continues to like grow and grow, and then it's just in the spaceship, and it's like multi flexible, I guess you could say. It's like a jelly type creature thing, but it's got like some teeth and everything. And just, I don't know, the idea for me of like just space in general is pretty scary. But then, being up there with something you have no idea what the fuck it is, and it's getting more and more dangerous. I was just like, oh, it's going to come out and they're done there. So,
I want to watch this movie. I can't believe I don't know about it. So why have I never heard about it?
I don't know. It has Ryan Reynolds in it as well.
Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, I know, right? Beefcakes.
Oh, here it is, 2017.
Yeah, I saw it in theater. I think I was the only one in there, and I was just like fucking rocking in my seat.
Wow, dude, I'm putting it on my list.
All right, yeah, I'll have to know.
Do you have like I use Just Watch, but everyone else in the world seems to use Letterboxd. Do you have like a system to keep track of movies you want to watch?
I used to. I used to have a Plex, if you've heard of that. But
Plex, yeah, sure.
But I don't have it anymore, so I've kind of lost my scramble of things. So
yeah.
But it's funny though. I know a lot of people have compared Barbarian to Malignant. I haven't seen that, and I know you're on the fence about the feeling of that, right?
I don't think they're similar.
Okay, well, I mentioned that because I see more similarities to Don't Breathe.
Sure. I'm friends with Fede. He actually lives in my neighborhood. I see him pretty often. I like Don't Breathe a lot. I don't have a problem with Malignant. By the way, I think Malignant is like when that movie ended the first time I watched it, I was like, holy shit, like I'm so glad this movie exists. So like I'm definitely like I have nothing bad to say about Malignant. I think that Malignant is, and I think that people make that comparison because Barbarian is a movie that does a bit of a bait and switch where you think you're watching one movie and then when the movie ends, you think back on the movie you started watching and you're like, I can't believe this is the same movie.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like when like Justin Long is throwing her off the thing and a giant naked woman is jumping, and then you think back and like, oh yeah, there was a solid 20 minutes of just like two people sitting on a couch drinking wine talking. And it's like, that was like, feels like a lifetime ago. I feel like Malignant has a similar kind of a vibe where it gets really crazy. It takes a bunch of left turns and it shape shifts into a different genre, And so I get that. I just feel like they're just the similarities end there, and I don't want to get too deep into other things that I think make them different from each other. But like, yeah. What were you saying? The other movie that you think?
Don't Breathe. I noticed.
Don't Breathe. Too. Well, Don't Breathe, I think, is an obvious comparison because it's about like a house in Detroit, and there's like horror in the basement and that kind of a thing. Yeah. So that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. They're both about tension. So yeah, I get you.
Yeah, I will say though, like, I don't know. I just found the whole idea a fine movie, right? But of the old guy who can't see and as successful at things movie. That he was doing, really good. And didn't see the sequel, but I don't like when he's kind of the good guy after the first one. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but that's another story. But about Barbarian, though, I will say, like, I had listened to enough of like you talking about it and everything about it going in that, all right, we expect, Bill Skarsgård, what Keith, that character, maybe you can't trust or whatnot. I went in thinking like, no, because that's the expectation, right? For him to not be the good guy. It kind of plays out like, don't trust anybody. It's from her perspective, right? But I love how I was still caught off guard, even though I felt like he was going to be
Okay, so you were prepared to have the bait and switch that he was not bad.
Yeah, but
fair. But it's still you were
still
not
gets
expecting that. Okay, sure. So. Cool. I'll take it.
Yeah.
That was Justin actually who just called me. That's yeah. I'm trying to think. I guess the movie to me that it's the most similar to is Audition. Have you seen that?
No, I've
it's
heard
a
of that one,
Japanese
though,
movie
too.
from 1999 by Takashi Miike. It's great. Okay. And I feel like there's a lot of parallels between Barbarian and Audition. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to check that one out. I always like a good Japanese film.
It's great. It's amazing.
That one has a remake too, doesn't it?
Sorry?
Has a remake as well?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I don't. No.
All right, man. Well, I want to ask you, not without going into Deep Boys too much here, but I want to ask you maybe a tough question or at least an interesting one, like, because I know that you got to share a little bit of it, but you know the input with Travis. You know, how much did you get to share with him, and like, I mean, just what we're kind
of like related to Barbarian. What do you mean?
Yeah, like when you were working on it. I know you were, you know, obviously gone for a little bit there in Bulgaria and everything, but I know you talked to him about it and stuff, right? Just like what was kind of the thought.
I actually didn't talk to him very much about Barbarian. Like I think he knew it was a horror movie, and I don't think he knew anything else, honestly. You know, as close as we were, you know, he had his things that he was working on, like without me, like his Disney stuff, and I think he just sold another show that he and his like partner Adam had been working on. So like we didn't really get too deep into each other's professional shit that we did separately. We were always planning on doing a bunch of collaborations together, but you know, he would never come to me and like talk through all the things he was going to go do without me, and likewise I would never go to him and be like, hey, I'm writing this and it's going to be cool. You know, like we didn't get into that stuff with each other. So I was excited for him to watch Barbarian, mostly because the business manager that Justin's character goes to, the financial advisor, is like based off of Trevor and I shared a financial advisor, this guy Jeff, and I was so excited because the guy I cast to play Jeff in the movie looks exactly like the real Jeff and talks the same way, and it was just like this whole scene was just like based on this guy that Trevor and I both know really well, and I like nailed it. And so I was so excited for him to watch the movie to be like, it's fucking Jeff, it's insane. But like he never got to see the movie, man. That's what really kills me, is like I think he would I don't know what he would have thought about all of this. I think he would have been really, really excited and proud, and you know, it would have been awesome. So that sucks. But more than that, I'm just so sad that he's never going to get to watch Mars, because you know, that was like he just cared so much about that one. And so the idea that like it's almost done and it's looking great and it's like as good as we wanted it to be, I think that hurts. That hurts a lot.
Well, I was gonna say though, like, do you think it's kind of perfect though to have all this Barbarian success and, you know, buzz generated of, you know, around your name, and then people going back maybe watching some Whitest Kids stuff to be happening ahead of Mars coming out?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it can't be bad, you know? So yeah, I hope so. Part of me is like, fuck, I should have been plugging more Whitest Kids in my press for Barbarian, but I've done it a good amount, and I don't know. I hope I've done it enough, but yeah, I think there is a little bit more of a spike in the interest of Whitest Kids, and that's got to be good for Mars. So hopefully that spike will really come into effect when Mars is done, and we hit the ground running with that.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. And would you ever have any of the other guys like in your own movie, or is that like too weird?
No, it's not weird. No, of course I would. It would just have to be the right part, you know. If there was something that really made sense, of course I would.
Okay. Yeah, because I always remember, you know, at the time when you guys were still going on, did make Miss March. I was like, obviously you did the sketches, but I was like, yo, where's everybody else?
Well, that one was kind of on purpose because, look, I don't think it matters because nobody saw that movie, so who gives a shit? But like, I think the thinking that Trevor and I had at the time was that like, we don't want anyone to confuse Miss March for a Whitest Kids movie. And now, obviously, that was idiotic because Trevor and I are the stars of it. So like, of course, everyone's going to confuse it for a Whitest Kids movie. That's just done. But we thought in our minds that like, if we keep the other guys out, you know, this will just be a Trevor and Zach movie, and then we'll make a Whitest Kids movie with everybody, and then that'll be, you know, we wanted to kind of keep the brand protected. You know, we blew it, you know, so who cares? It didn't, the brand wasn't protected. The movie didn't work, you know, it was what it was. But, and I don't want to shit on Miss March too much because Trevor didn't hate it like I did. I didn't hate it, but I was just like, it was a very problematic movie for me. I really.
Well, you said you still haven't gone back and rewatched, right?
Sorry?
You still haven't gone back to rewatch yet, right?
I have not. I know on the Discord they were doing a watch party, and I poked in for like 10 minutes, and I was like, this is so painful for me. Like, I'm still not over it. You know what? Maybe now that Barbarian is kind of like a successful situation, like maybe now I have like the self-confidence to watch Miss March and not feel ashamed and just like let it be silly and stupid. But maybe it's a testament to my ego or something, but like it still hurts. It still hurts to watch that movie for me.
Understandable, man. I mean, I enjoyed it. You know, at the time I haven't rewatched it.
I'm
probably
glad.
At the time.
And that's the thing that sucks is if I go on the air and I start talking all this shit on this thing that so many people have such strong affection for. Well, I'm kind of being a dick to them because I'm like, you have bad taste. Like, your opinion is wrong. I'm like, that's not fair. Like, I have my own personal hangups with that movie. You know, I think I said yes to that movie because I was 26 years old. I wanted to be a big movie star. I wanted to be like, I want to be a fucking famous comedian, you know? And so this I thought was going to do that for me, and it didn't, you know? And I had to like have a dose of reality, and it was not a fun lesson to learn. So I think I'm still like, wah, kind of, you know? I need to get over it.
But I mean, at the same time, a good lesson to have gone through that, though, right? And
majorly. You know, the lesson I learned was like, make a movie for the right reasons. You know, like I wasn't excited to make a movie, a sex road trip movie ever. You know, that was just the script that came to us with a green light. You know, I was like, if you make this movie, you can make the movie. So like the path of least resistance is not always the best path. That was the lesson. All right. Good lesson.
Yeah. Not too shabby.
Yeah.
What would you say has been like? I know you guys have talked about, you know, plenty of them now, but your favorite sketch to have made and then watching, I'm sure, is a little bit different, right? Favorite one to watch and then.
Oh, so interesting. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I guess what jumps to mind, I don't know why, and I know this isn't the right answer, but it's just the sketch that jumps to mind, is Shitchest Boner Neck, the aliens, the blue aliens where like the shit comes out of them.
Right.
Like they have dicks on them that like jizz and stuff.
Sir, we have the translator box up and running now, I think.
All over her tits.
Good one.
I don't know why that comes to my mind because I mean I think I was even one of the aliens, so I'm like painted blue. I can't remember, but it was just really fun to shoot that one. I remember Timmy was like looking up at the ceiling because he didn't want to like look at the aliens, and I remember thinking that was so funny. It was just a good time. Like everybody was. And also, it's fun. It's also funny because Trevor and I were not getting along. You know, we had a full season where we were like working together every day, but we were not friends. You know, like Miss March had just crashed and burned. We were sick of each other, and we had to go right back into shooting another fucking season of the TV show. And we were just like over each other, dude. Like if we were in the same room, we would like not talk. We would talk about work, and then we would not talk. It was icy, and that was that was in the middle of that too. And I remember I got really mad at Trevor that day because like we all had to take the same van home from set, right? So like we would wrap, and like I'm a very type A, like I want to go. As soon as something's done, I want to pack my shit up. I want to get in the van. I want to go home, and I wanted to like have Zach time at home. What I didn't want to do was like bumble around the set where I've been all day and like chit chat with people and like look at my phone for a long time. And so like I always felt like I was wrangling cats because like Sam is very slow and he does everything kind of on his own rhythm. And Trevor is like easily distracted. And yeah, and I know I was an alien because I hope I'm right. I hope I'm not misremembering this. But I had like taken all my blue makeup off and like there's like a shower there and I like did all that and then I'm like talking to all the different department heads about everything we got to do tomorrow and just like really like being effective. And then I finally go find Trevor. It's like time to get in the van and he's like still in all of his makeup, like looking at his phone. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, hurry up, dude. Like I want to go. He's like, and then he's like, fine. And he goes and he like takes another half hour to like take his makeup off. And he's like chatting over here about some video game. And I remember I came up, I was like, Trevor, everybody's ready. Like everyone is in the van. Let's go. And he was like, I had to take all this blue makeup off. And I was like, oh, and I remember I'm sitting in the van and I'm just thinking to myself, like, I had the same fucking makeup. Like,
right.
What the fuck? Like, so it's just like, it's those kinds of like little bickerings that like we would always get in. Not just me and Trevor, like everybody would get in with everybody. It's like brothers, it's like if you were to like make a TV show with your brothers where you're just like, I love you, but I fucking can't stand you. You know what I mean? So it was, but I don't know why that sketch jumps out, but I guess it was just a very fun, intimate sketch that like kind of had all the good and the bad of working with those guys was in it. Anyway.
Yeah, well, I sure didn't expect that one, but
Me neither. I believe me. If you ask me that in an hour, I'll have 10 other sketches in front of it that I think were more fun.
Amazing. Well, all right, man. Well, I don't want to keep you too long here. I know we're getting close to the hour mark, but appreciate it.
This was fun, man. Thanks for having me on, dude. I really appreciate it. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you as well, man. It's weird. I feel like I've known you for a long time now because of watching. Growing up with you as a kid and then, watching the entirety of the streams you guys have been doing since 2020 in a very, important, crazy time in a lot of people's lives. It definitely helped me
my life too. Yeah. It's, it's funny. I do feel very connected to the people that have been watching the streams. Like I shared this on the last stream, but like I was in Toronto and like this woman, Sue, came up to me and she was like, hey, I'm a doll licker. And I was just like immediately like, oh my God, like we're friends, So I really do. And somebody else said, this is how you get stalkers, Zach. Right. So I'm aware of it. But like, I do feel so connected to the community. And I really mean that. Like, especially, with Trevor dying. And I know everybody felt that, in a similar way that I did. And so there is a bond there. Like there's a shared grieving and, like Trevor was friends with everybody. Like everybody feels the same connection to him that I did. Obviously it's different, but it's not totally different. And so when I do meet anybody in the world who's like part of this community, like I do feel a very special connection. So yeah, I mean it's a weird thing because I know like it seems like you know me and I don't know you, right. But I know what we share, and I know that that's a real thing, and so that matters to me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And
does that make sense?
Yeah, totally, and yeah, like with Trevor and everything, it's the most impacted I've been like by that happening to somebody without actually knowing them, right? Yeah. So it's like,
sure,
it's weird. I never expected any of that type of, obviously, but for those feelings to like come out from that, it's like a weird feeling at the same time because it's like you don't really know them, but you feel like it. If that, yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, God, it's like if people have watched all the streams from the last 2 years,
it's a lot of hours.
It's a lot of hours, and it's a lot of it. It's like real. It's like unedited, real time with somebody. It's not like edited clips where we're doing selects and re-editing things. Some of the Buckers and Myers, but like most of even that, it's like we're just taking out Timmy doing math. We're not like taking out other stuff. So it's like, yeah, people have a pretty well-rounded view of what he really was like, like I think it would be a fair thing to say that Trevor, even though you don't, mm-hmm. Like you could probably predict how he would react in a lot of different situations, So I get it. I think it's totally legitimate that people are emotional about what happened. I understand that.
Yeah, I mean that's why I wanted to greet you in the DM with the doll licker go fuck yourself because like
well that's a good way to do it.
He's not going to be mad at me for this. He gets
no,
it.
not at all, not at all. And I don't know if any of them how many will listen to this, but But I can't respond to all of them. So I don't want anyone to think like, if you've messaged me and you said you started with, doll liquor, go fuck yourself, and I didn't get back to you. It's not because I don't care. I can't do it. I can't. So that's all. I don't want to sound
Hollywood
gross,
Cregger.
like, that's all. Yeah, exactly. Guys, I've evolved. I've leveled up. Okay, I can't. That's not what I mean.
Well, I want to leave you with one last thing here before I let you go, Zach.
Yeah, please don't let me go out on that.
Yeah, no, I got a tough one here for you. I knew this would be a good one that you'd appreciate. So, if you had to give up one thing between music or movies / TV, what would be the one you'd give up?
Okay, so I can never listen to music again, or I can never watch scripted entertainment again?
Yes.
I think I would. It's funny. This is so awful, but like my whole life, I would have said scripted entertainment, lose it. I'll stay with music for the rest of my life, no problem. But I think that now, like, where my career has given me such like fulfillment, and like I'm so excited at the idea of making another movie, and like that is really a big part of my mental landscape now, is like I think I would have to go that route so I could keep doing what I'm doing, that would be devastating, but I feel like I'd have to do that. Otherwise, I'm not a musician. I mean, I've been in a band and I make music and stuff, but like that's not my vocation. So I guess at the risk of sounding like a total shit, I'd have to respect my method of income. Mm-hmm. And I love movies. I deeply love movies. So yeah, I'll stick with the movies, I guess. That sucks though. That's a brutal one.
I know. That's one that hopefully, you would never want to have to deal with. So
yeah,
I figured that.
What about you? What would you pick?
I think I'd probably do music as well. I still love music and everything, but I've fallen out of listening to as much music as I did when I was younger, just because like I get so wrapped up in my work too. So it's kind of the same thing as like, I feel like it's not a big thing to have to focus on in terms of, listening to music and everything, but there's so much out there that it's like keeping up with it. I've just lost track of doing that. And still love a good concert and everything, but just not as much, I don't think. It's so much. I feel like it's way easier to sit down and enjoy like a movie and just relax rather than. I don't know. It is tough. It is very tough, right? But it's
very tough.
I think.
And then there's video games too, which I'm like fully addicted to, and I'm not even counting that in the.
Well, yeah, I don't think they should qualify.
That's its own third category, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brutal.
That'd be a game changer, though, if that was a part of it.
Yeah. No pun intended.
Yeah. Haha. But.
Yeah.
All right, Zach. Well, we can leave it off there, man. Again, appreciate this so much. Great honor, getting to do it.
I'm so my pleasure. I'm so sorry about the time fuck up at the beginning of this thing. Forgive me.
All good, man.
All right, dude.
So.
All right, man. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, of course. Wish you the best success going forward. Congrats again with everything, man. And we'll be tuning in. I'll see you in the next streams and everything. So.
Thanks, Drake.
Yeah. Take care, man.
All right, dude. Later.
Later.